Okay, we really need to talk about protein because it feels like almost overnight it went from just being a nutrient to being this mega superstar ingredient that's now packed into literally everything. But this was no accident. This is a story that has been building for a very, very long time.
I mean, you've definitely seen it, right? Even if you couldn't quite put your finger on it. All of a sudden, there's this one single nutrient being celebrated as the hero ingredient in products you would just never expect.
And look, we are not just talking about protein shakes and bars anymore. No, no. It's in candy bars, it's in popcorn, cereal, pasta, yogurt, even bread. It seems like food companies are cramming it into pretty much every single food category imaginable. So the big question is, why? Why now? What's so wild about this is that it's not some little trend that bubbled up from a few fitness influencers on social media. This is a huge, calculated push from the absolute biggest players in the food industry, and it is fundamentally changing the way we think about the food we eat.
So how did protein get this bulletproof reputation? To really get what's happening right now, we've got to take a step back and look at what came before it.
And here it is. This is the key. Protein has always been the good guy. It has a completely clean record. Unlike every other major nutrient, fats, carbs, sugar, you name it, protein has never once been cast as the villain in our never-ending food drama. It's actually kind of funny. You can practically guess someone's age by the food they're most afraid of. Think about it. For our parents' generation, it was all about salt. For a lot of us, it was the whole low-fat craze of the 90s. Then came the war on carbs, and of course the gluten panic. Every decade had its villain, which left this perfect hero-shaped hole in the market.
So this perfect reputation? Well, it built a ridiculously powerful commercial engine. This whole thing isn't random. It's a carefully constructed self-fueling feedback loop designed for one thing: pure profit.
Here's how the playbook works. It's simple. First, a diet trend starts to get a little bit of traction online. Then, the giant food companies spot their opportunity and start sprinkling this special ingredient into products they already make. Next, influencers get paid to shout it from the rooftops, consumer demand just explodes, and then the whole cycle repeats, just pouring more and more gasoline on the fire. And what is this magic ingredient? Well, in the industry, they call it protein dust, and it is the absolute key that unlocks this entire trend. It's super cheap to make, it lasts forever on a shelf, it isn't really regulated, and you can mix it into almost anything without changing the taste much. It's basically the perfect additive for the world of processed foods. And this right here is why the big food companies are all in. I mean, just think about it from their perspective. Creating a new vegan product line, that's really hard. You need totally new recipes. Going gluten-free, that's a logistical nightmare, sourcing all new ingredients. But high protein? Shh. You just add a scoop of powder to what you're already making, slap a new label on it, and charge more. It's a license to print money. Okay, so it's incredibly profitable for them. We get it. But what's the cost for us? Let's dig into what this whole craze is actually doing to our health, our bank accounts, and just our basic understanding of nutrition. The disconnect here is just staggering. You've got influencers telling people they need to be eating up to 200 grams of protein a day. That's a level that maybe an elite professional athlete needs. Meanwhile, pretty much every health expert agrees that the average adult only needs around 50 to 75 grams, not even close. And here is the absolute wildest part of this entire story. Before this trend blew up, the number of people in North America with an actual clinical protein deficiency was basically zero. It just wasn't a thing. A problem was invented out of thin air, just so a solution could be sold to us. So yeah, this hype has some very real consequences. We're paying more money for the same old products, we're being completely distracted from what our bodies actually need, and the marketing is getting more and more specific. And that's a huge shift. For decades, diet culture was almost exclusively marketed to women. But the protein trend, with all its talk of building muscle and performance, it might just be the most successful male-focused diet trend in history. All this noise, all this marketing about protein has successfully tricked us into obsessing over one single nutrient. But in doing that, it's completely drowned out the warnings about an actual widespread deficiency that health experts have been talking about for years. And that deficiency is in fiber. Yep, the thing that most of us are genuinely not getting enough of.
but, there's no billion-dollar marketing machine or army of influencers telling you to buy fiber-enriched candy bars, is there?
So where does all this leave us? The goal here is definitely not to make you feel bad for buying into the hype. It's about understanding the powerful forces at play so we can all navigate this stuff a little bit better.
And this is so, so important to remember. If you've fallen for this, you're not stupid. You're a human being, probably in a hurry, trying to make decisions in a grocery store while being blasted with a fire hose of information that is scientifically designed to manipulate you.
Our brains are just wired to look for shortcuts. When we're tired or overwhelmed, we want an easy answer. Seeing that big, bold word protein on a package feels like a simple, healthy choice. It taps into our trust of influencers we follow, and it hits those deep emotional buttons tied to health and how we look. It's an incredibly effective trap.
So the big takeaway is this. We just have to treat those claims on the front of the box with a little bit of healthy skepticism. The next time you see some big health claim on a label, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, who is really benefiting from this claim? Is this product solving a problem I actually have, or is it solving a problem that the marketing department created for me? This entire phenomenon just shows how easily one single ingredient can be spun into a magical silver bullet for all our health worries. It really makes you wonder, now that we've seen the playbook, what's the next hero ingredient they're getting ready to sell us?